Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Talking Town. My name's Adam, and I'm joined by my constant co-host in a blue shirt named Steven. How are you doing, Steven?
I'm doing well.
Okay, well, good to hear. Good to hear. Man, there's a lot of results that kind of came out the last couple weeks for some of the Star Wars events going on across the world. Anything that's kind of stood out to you?
I mean, from a victory, from what's taken down the events, not really. I've seen, there's just been a surprise here and there, but you got to account for, you know, what exactly did the field look like at that event? How many players were in it, right? So like for you, for example, I know we'll kind of discuss it later, but you had like a Poe Data Vault player win, you had a
Uh-huh.
Palp Yellow win, which seems crazy in this meta.
Yeah,
Um, so yeah,
we
it's just things like that.
we are in full swing for PQ season, which has been really exciting because yeah, I mean, we'll jump into a little bit of what we're playing, but also the Data Vault meta that's being developed. We'll talk about a little bit of the regional prep we're doing for, uh, you know, Minneapolis here in about 2 weeks from now, and then we'll do a big rundown of spoiler season. So let's jump into this episode. We're starting at the top. This will probably be our last. What are we playing? For before the regional, and then after that it'll be, we'll once we kind of get a refoundation of what the meta might look like, because after the regional the PQ season will be still happening, but for some it might be starting to prep for worlds, so it'll be a conclusion to this little series. But I think if you've been following along, we'll have some nice little updates for at least some of the decks I've been playing. I know Steven's still on Ray Targentown, and I'm sure he could tell us what he's changed. But let's check these out real quick. All right, so I ripped this list completely from the Poe Data Vault winner. Steven, have you checked this list out yet? Have you seen this?
I've glanced at it. I haven't done a too much of a run through of it.
Mm.
Um, so I mean, it's awesome that a Poe was able to win a PQ. Of course, it's Data Vault.
Yeah,
Why wouldn't it be?
yeah.
Um, yeah, it's definitely interesting. It's fun. I do enjoy the uh, kind of the little combo that you have with they hate that ship and Radis. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
obviously you can. I mean, you can still do it to play a Falcon turn one, um, but for me at least, I'm like I think it's much more interesting to play it with the Radis.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed this list. I think the card pool is just a testament to itself that, not just at like Poe, but we've seen the resurgence of Han too, uh and then even if you step away from Data Vault, like the Sabine, this whole card pool, like this picture here, these 60 cards, these 70 cards, minus maybe the Radis, but could be put into any one of those characters, and you attach Data Vault to it, and it's just a really good combination. But this is just I've played Poe Blue, I've played Poe Yellow. I was like, I wanted to play ECL, but I think at that point I feel like Sabine is still just the top dog, so I didn't want to like just play a Sabine deck. But I am, they're still the best cards in this colors. uh
Right.
it's been really nice though, like putting a dark saber on your Poe leader, that they, or like a Poe unit. I mean, just the same thing a Sabine player would do. But I have the privilege of playing eject, so I can have a 4/5 on turn 4 that is a unit, but also could come back a leader the following turn on the ground. Or I get to play Poe Dameron so many times in one match. Sometimes it's like I lose track of when I am the leader deploy or I am the regular deploy. So
I mean, yeah, it's kind of disgusting if you what would it be? Because you could play like black one turn one, next turn put Poe on it, attack for what would that be? Five,
5 and a ping.
eject,
Yep.
eject, and then at 4 resources you can put a dark saber on it.
Yeah. And it's like they're not gonna have something on the ground usually to deal with a 4/6 on turn 3. So I mean the list runs pretty smooth. Congratulations. I mean this was like a 60-person PQ, so it's nothing to scoff at. I think the as I've played this card pool more, especially with green, or at least the heroic green and red combination, it's I'm starting to fall more and more in love with how Blue Leader feels. I think the card is probably one of the best printed cards in the set as we continue to work our way through Jump to Lightspeed meta.
Oh yeah, it's an excellent card. I mean, it's part of the reason why I wish I was playing green. Just because it is just one of those very versatile cards.
What it can't do is like it's just crazy. It'll kill Sabine. It'll kill, I mean, anything in this list that will almost knock out turn 1. It's good into your Han matchups because it can kill both their 3 or their 5 health like turn 2 plays. It might feel bad playing that from behind, but also like just playing a 3/3 on for 3 on curve in space isn't really that bad either.
I also really love it like when you're I don't want to necessarily call it late game, but like once you guys have kind of gone a few rounds and you're kind of maybe top decking or whatever it may be, and you don't have maybe the best curve out, but if they just play a cheap space unit and you're like, okay, well I'm gonna Blue Leader ambush it, it's gonna live, and now I'm gonna put it on ground and it has 5 attack. It's like you just like it's so efficient.
A double threat. I don't know how I feel about Luke Pilot. I'm obviously he's very good. I just from all the Vader I've played, pilots for 3 just aren't something I've played too much of just quite yet. But I'm gonna keep putting some time in on this. I mean, it's definitely a lot more fun. I don't know if I like it more than yellow, just because I was a big fan of playing both sets of Falcons, but and the Han pilot unit was really, really fun. And then we'll move over to Vader Yellow. I've played I think since getting back from Denver a couple weeks ago, or not Denver, oh my gosh, getting back from KC a couple weeks ago, I've just kind of continued my Vader combinations, and I know I said last week or 2 weeks ago that I had rotated over to yellow, and I've actually decided I think I still just enjoy yellow so much more right now. Lurking TIE Phantom with a Vader deploy on it is something some entire decks just don't have an answer to. So at least that feels like a solid play line that I'm willing to invest into this entire aspect combination. But No Good to Be Dead, Surprise Strike, Waylay. I mean, every yellow card in this deck is pretty stacked. So,
have you always been running Patrol Fighter?
Yes, yeah, 3
okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Getting to sometimes when I can open double 1-drop, or I can open a 1-drop plus Myth Victor 2, and then if I can poop out a TIE Fighter with Darth Vader, I can play this thing turn 2, and it just feels like
True.
it's such crazy tempo is gained between these 2 cards is why yellow feels like a solid play. Yep, I need to some players are starting to put Bazine into the main. The sideboard probably needs to be adjusted quite a bit, but it'll get more work in progresses over time. We have a local Michael, I don't know if I say his name correctly, Michael Freda. He's been playing Vader Red, and he really enjoys it, so I might have to give that one a go, just because, I mean, that's as cool as it gets, you get to run Vader's lightsaber, Vader Command, Vader Leader, Vader Unit / Pilot, and Force Choke, So, everything Vader in one deck seems pretty fun to me. And then I know you said you've been on Ray Tarkentown. Do you have any major updates that you've made since last we've discussed it?
I mean, I don't know necessarily about major. Really, I think I said after the PQ that I was going back to open fires because I didn't think Entrenched was very good. I'm playing around with Entrenched again. It's been feeling a lot better. That's really kind of the main thing that I've done. So really, it's really hasn't changed a whole lot from the PQ list. I've moved Cham Syndulas back into the side deck because I just feel like I needed because originally I was maining Anima and I was siding Anima and I was like I need to get the double Nima in the main because of some of the popularity with Sabine. I think it's a little bit more beneficial, and even a lot of the time when I do side in Cham for the Cham matchups. At least recently, I never seem to draw it. So,
I mean,
so
it's that one of those things. It's like you're prepping now for more main board Sabine, and Cham is double main board for Kira / whatever ramp deck you want to put out there. But I definitely think we're more lenient on the side that since Kira is the only real Han Green's still a resupply deck, so I shouldn't say that. But of the two resupply decks, it's Han and Kira. I still think your percentages that you're not going to run into something else is almost a little bit higher. But yeah, I don't think.
Yeah, it's just I think it just comes down to the fact that either I don't think the Cham is going to massively improve my win rate game one against a lot of these decks because either I feel like I'm already favored or the matchup is already even enough that that I should just win based off of familiarity. While with Sabine is just one of those decks where it's like it can just go so out of control so quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So top decking Anima at some point in the game is almost always going to be still fine against some of these aggro decks. A Cham, even if I'm playing against a Han or a Kira, if I'm drawing it at 8 resources, it's a 5/4 effectively is what it is. So, and it made me mad because I played a game and when I played it smuggled my last Krayt Dragon into my resource row, and if I would have drawn that, I would have won the game. So yeah, he's banished for now.
That's fair. I'm sure he'll have his time in the sun again at some point. Maybe one day when we'll get more top end style decks out there. Meta's a little lower, still topping out around your average 6 cost leader at most, but that's okay. How do they fix that? I don't quite know. But that's a good segue into our next topic, Data Vault and the lack of green leaders. If you've been paying any attention to any of the current PQs and big events that have been going on around the world, we are in I don't know how to, it is a Data Vault meta per se, but if everything is Data Vault, is it really the meta? That's just, you know what I mean? It's like you can't call it a problem if the only thing that exists is that thing. But I guess Django was the same way. I don't know.
Yeah, the other thing too is is Data Vault really a problem? I'm like,
yeah, there's that.
I don't really see it as a because it's
just
I don't see it as
that's what.
Yeah, exactly. It's not a gameplay issue. It's a deck construction element, and you're just getting benefit out of extra health against the popular, the relatively high popularity of Sabine. It's still pretty decent against some of your Kira because you have 10 extra cards, so it takes them longer to mill you, and you just have more cards then that they have to, deal with. So you kind of have it on both fronts, and it clearly hasn't been affecting your consistency negatively enough for it to matter otherwise.
It has become, let's just off the top of my head, it's Sabine did its time in the sun with Data Vault. I still think it's a good deck. I still think it might have also just been a counter aggressive meta call for that tournament. You've got Rey Data Vault, you've got Han 2, you've got Han 1 if you really want to. You've got Kira. I can't, there's so many. We just showed you Poe. And that
Poe, we'd seen Vader Data Vault previously.
Yeah, Vader Set 1 Data Vault did well. It the list is just seems like every week as we go into the PQ season continues to grow. And there's nothing wrong with it. It's just, if you had told me about, when did this set come out? A couple months ago now? A month ago? Well, I don't even remember.
About 2 months ago.
That this would shape the meta, I would be like, what are you talking about? This is just an inefficient card. It, yeah. And there's going to be times that, you might hit one of these Data Vault hands where it's like your hand is, statistically kind of poor, where you're not getting like a turn 1, maybe a turn 2 drop, because you're expanding this wider card pool, but also like it's about the amount of repetitions you put in, and then you'll learn from that, where it's like, yes, this may happen, but it's not going to happen as much as you feel like. So
yeah, as long as you're accounting for ratios appropriately, then you're fine.
Yeah, and the math changes so little that if you're able to actually determine that, like statistically as a human being, I'd be very impressed. You know what I mean? It'd be not placebo-ish, but almost like you're making a mountain out of a molehill in a way that, like, Data Vault is the reason that this happens. But I think the unfortunate part about this meta is that we are at a lack of actual green leaders running around. I mean, I know we've talked about it in the past. They're definitely, or command leaders, definitely the lower on the totem pole of how this game has been played probably since release. So, you've got your Palpatines, you've got your now set 4 Vaders, but set 4 Vader, I mean, it's one of those things. It's like, could it be a better leader in another color? I'm gonna bet you it probably would. If it was yellow right now, I'd just run Data Vault with it, and I'd be in the same boat I am, or everyone else is, Yeah. Double green just doesn't offer enough as an archetype for the card pool to actually be, a useful double aspect. And, results are just showing this is just the way it is. Kylo Ren and Tarkin Town is probably one of the best double aggro or double aggression decks. Han Yellow is still a thing. Is there a double blue deck that you'd feel like stand outish right now?
Not stand outish. I mean, the only double blue deck that I think even remotely would exist is Ray Blue, but I mean, it's also at that point where I'm like, I don't see why you wouldn't just be running Ray Data Vault.
Yeah.
And I feel like you run into a bigger issue because Data Vault exists, right? So you don't.
Your vigilance plan of playing it on 4 resources really doesn't matter to the Data Vault players, unfortunately. Even though it is like, I love mono aspect decks. That's probably been one of my favorite things about the game, but it's been a long time since I've put some actual mileage on one. And maybe with this next set and some of the cards we'll go over that spoiler season are starting with at the end of this, they look really cool. The spoiler that I'm excited for is Doom. Doom, right? Doom? D-U-M-E?
Oh, Doom, yeah.
Yeah, okay. I just wanted to make sure I didn't have a, some Star Wars name and I messed it up. But
Doom for Caleb Doom.
Yeah, I think that card is super cool. Yeah, it's unfortunate because it's not as much of a discussion, but it is just something that I hope is kind of corrected with the card pool in the future. Maybe as we see in about a year from now with the rotation, but sooner the better would be nice. I haven't seen is there even we'll have to see. I don't know if there's a command leader that's been spoiled so far.
Command leader? Yeah. That's a good question. I'm trying to remember. Doesn't ring a bell. No, we have Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Okay. Well, we'll get to a good discussion with him. Yeah, I mean, do you have anything you'd like to throw in about this one? There's I don't know. It's just unfortunate mostly.
Yeah, it's just a byproduct of I mean, a lot of your green leaders are a little bit more. They're either slower or they're just very weak from a mechanics perspective. I mean, Vader 4 is obviously the one exception that's performing, but with Palpatine, it just doesn't play well into the meta right now. I mean, you do have some of this Captain Rex stuff that's a little that's a little cheesy.
Hey man, that deck actually made top 8 at a fairly sizable PQ. Same with Tarkin Blue. They're out there, but they're in much smaller quantities than anything else we've previously mentioned. Right. Unfortunately.
Yeah, but otherwise, I mean, what would be the next best green leader that one could even think about? It'd be like what, maybe Piet, and it's just like green is so heavily focused in a lot of these colors as either really helping with like mid-range, or it's pure ramp, and you either just but it's like mid-range, so it's, I mean, you have certain cards like you have your Battlefield Marine or whatever that you would sprinkle into these leaders that are non-green, that are aggro, like Sabine, but I mean, they're just is like even just the green leader's abilities just
they're super
aren't the same.
They're very fair.
They're much more balanced. And usually it feels like with a lot of those green cards or a lot of the green leaders, they're very focused in a particular strategy as opposed to just being generically good, right? Because you have like let me think here. You have like Hera, which is kind of her own niche kind of Spectre stuff, which I think could be very much better, next set with a lot of the Spectre stuff that we're getting. You've also got your Tarkin. Tarkin is, I mean, I don't think it's a bad deck. I think it has some legs, but it's you're playing green blue, why aren't you just playing Kira? And then you can play Data Vault, right? So it's just like, sure, you have this green leader, but then you typically just have a better alternative, right?
Yeah.
Because
even if you took away Kira's, Kira's deploy is insane. But if you even optimize the card down, and let's say, its ability just wasn't as good, there's still incentive for you to be with a blue leader in Data Vault, whereas the green leaders just can't be attached to Data Vault the same way. But it's just yep. I mean, I hope it gets better. There's nothing else to really, and same with double aspect decks. Hopefully the support we get for those is also, hopefully they're interested in it as much as I am. That's all there is to say. But I mean, that leads us, it's not a very good transition, but we're doing it anyway. We have been doing a little bit of a boot camping for regional preparation. Everybody from, the Omaha area and the Omaha Alliance group, we've been trying to get, what did we do? We did one tournament last weekend. Did we do a tournament weekend before that? Was that KC?
That was KC. We did the showdown.
Yeah. So, I mean, we did the PQ into the showdown, into a 3-round tournament this last Mother's Day. We did one yesterday because we're recording this on Tuesday. I think we're going to do another one on this upcoming Sunday. And we're trying to get some online tournament action rolling and just getting practice set up for people to, play webcam games or, however they want to play. And just trying to get into the groove of things. It's we're going into probably the widest field that we've seen in the game's history. I mean, not just these Data Vault decks, but you have to be prepared for everything. I'd suggest that, even whatever leader you decide to play this upcoming week or 2 weekends from now, I would just prefer that you have the best practice with your leader rather than swap over decks.
Yeah, because I think the other thing that you have to be really worried about if you're going to the regional is there. Personally, I don't think there's a perceived best deck. People aren't going in and it's like, what's the deck to beat?
Yeah.
And I mean, you could maybe say Sabine, right? You could argue
I
Sabine,
I would argue it would be, but yeah, I see what you're saying too.
but uh, but I mean, with that, it's like okay, if it's the deck to beat, like what's the field, right? Because
Hmm.
this is kind of the first event where we probably will. I mean, it probably at most will have what 12% of the field.
It's
I
a
mean,
good
based off
guess.
of
Yeah.
so I mean that's only 12%, and then you probably have another deck that'll probably be about 10, and then maybe like between 6 and 8%.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's a pretty open field, and there's a lot of these other just decks that if you're not
Yeah.
prepared for or you're not familiar with, they will take games off you. You could run into a random Palp in early rounds before they've hit the Sabine. You could run into the Poe Damerons. You could run into the
Hantu.
the
Yeah,
the
like,
Hantu. You could run into the Vader 4.
yeah.
So
And if
and
you're not prepared for these matchups, like,
yep,
not even
could
just
run into
your deck.
Gardiello.
Yeah. Yeah. All of these, it's like I would say there's a three-headed Hydra right now of, it's mostly between Han, Green, Sabine, ECL, and Kiri Data Vault. And then after that, it's, like you said, all of these decks are things that will take games off of you if you don't have a prepared plan with your list. And, your mulligan strategies, like what are you looking for in this matchup? What turn do you stabilize? What turn will you race them? It sounds like a lot. It's not really a lot, but also it's like just know what everyone else's deck does a little bit more. And that's basically the big reason for all this practice. And, I'm just excited to see how, I mean, I'll be unfortunately not there, but I'll be sitting on the beach looking at melee standings as you guys go through the rounds, and I want to see what people are playing against, how they're performing, and I'm just excited as a as a team, as a group of people, just to see what y'all could do. So, and I'm sure you're going to be on Ray Tarkentown, still going to that event still.
Yeah, I mean, I've been playing it for
Yeah.
you know
Too late to swap.
10 months at this point, I guess. So,
Yeah.
I mean, what was it? Daniel said the other day that he thinks the only person that can win on that deck is me.
Yeah. I mean,
So,
you've practiced all the lines. Like, if there was someone to ask, there's probably a few handful of people that know the lines of Ray as much as you do into any meta right now. And it's I mean, I was talking to you about it earlier today, but the cards in that deck, or at least the force throw, is something that we were having a discussion about. But yeah, I think if there's going to be anyone, and this is just another, you're the Ray Tarkentown player that might show up to the tournament, the only one maybe, and you might.
oh, I know that's not true. I've been following some other stuff of people that are playing. Like, I know I'm pretty confident that Chris Schultz is going to be playing it as well.
Okay.
He's the more famous player for sure.
That's fair.
So, but yeah, so it's just a matter of, going in knowing your matchups much better than your opponent, and they're probably like, oh, Ray, I was prepared for Ray Data Vault, not Ray Tarkentown, because they're just who practices against Ray Data Vault for the most part.
And it would be the opposite for most communities. Is probably who practices against Ray Tarkentown as much as everyone around here does. Mm-hmm. So it's like if I run into another one, I think I'll have a pretty good game plan. But yeah, no, it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited to see, like I said, how you all do, and what all this practice hopefully helped get people from at least thinking more about how their list is going to perform into the meta, or does their leader decision matter right now? And all of this is a sounding yes, but I like to see how we got there. So
yeah, I think the other thing too that I really am liking or really enjoy is it, at least from, I feel like this is also where I feel like we've always been pretty good about it, but this is the first event where every single person that I can think of that I know is going is playing a different deck, or at least is projecting
Yeah.
to play a different deck from one another. So, I mean, I love that. That sounds awesome. I mean, maybe I think one exception. I think I can think of like maybe 2 Kira players off the top of my head, but
Yeah.
other than that, everybody's playing something different.
Yeah. It's just exciting because it's like, the Django meta was definitely not a good example of how this game is played. The Boba meta was not a good example of how this game was played. The Han DJ era to me was not a good example. It was a better than the other two, but it still wasn't like, where we're at now. And everything that they've changed to make the game feel holistically this way has been a positive impact to me. But yeah, the regional, I mean, if you had to pick right now, since we're probably, I mean, spoilers to those who have made it this far, we are not going to be having an episode next week because I will be out of town. But do you have any idea what you think might win the event right now?
Right now, I am. I mean, my instinct is to go with Sabine again, but I don't feel like I can safely go with Sabine. Um, I
It's tough.
Yeah, I
It's
know. It is really tough.
This week of PQs was statistically very Kira favored. So if that's any indicator to you.
Yeah, I just don't think Kira's gonna win. Like, 'cause that's the thing. I'm like, I don't think Kira's gonna win. I don't think Sabine's gonna be able to win. I mean, personally, right now, I'm still kind of leaning towards like Ray Data Vault or a Han. I'm leaning Ray or Han.
Okay, I could see like, I think that oh my gosh, I think that Han Green has this opportunity to like capitalize harder on the Sabine meta than Kira does. So it's like, I mean, a turn 1 Falcon is still like, they have an answer by playing the the Sabine's tie or the Sabine's masterpiece, but it depends on how the Sabine player sets up the match from like starting from turn 1. It gets very interesting, but I think in my head, I know there's going to be probably at least one Han player that makes it into top 8, like statistically speaking.
Yep.
But the 3 Sabine players, maybe even 2 that make it into top 8, I think they'll have the edge into the top 8 bracket. Because unfortunately, the matchup will play a big part, at least closing out the event. I probably just going to safely say Sabine. I know that's the boring answer, but also, it's meta for the first time. I mean, it's always been a very meta deck, but it's like actual time to shine.
That's fair. I don't know. I just have this feeling that Sabine's not going to be able to take it. And so I think it's going to be either Ray or Han. I don't think Kira is going to perform as well as we might think, and the reason for that is, sure, it's performing very well in PQs, but PQs are typically only 7 rounds. PQs on average are going to have a weaker pool of players. And for a regional, you're gonna have a stronger pool of players. You're gonna have 8 rounds day 1. You're gonna have 4 rounds day 2. And you're just gonna run into scenarios where you're gonna go to time as a Kira player, and it's just going to hurt you if you're playing 12 rounds of that. Yeah. So,
a lot.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, do I think Kira will make in the top 8? Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
But I just don't think it's going to look nearly as strong as it has from a PQ perspective. Because even from even from the Lyle regional, the European regional, as well as Richmond. Maybe I'm remembering Richmond, but yeah, I think I'm just thinking Lyle. I think Richmond Kira did pretty well, but in Lyle, Kira didn't do like all that well. It did fine, but you didn't see like a lot of these.
Well. So that's
okay. Richmond did very well.
Kira Data Vault birthed out of that event, basically. So.
Right. Okay. But now people are prepared for it. Just the circumstances of the event, and just based off of Lyle Europe, which is typically going to be a more control-oriented meta to begin with. And I mean, sure, I think they had. Did they have one top 8?
I don't remember. I'm gonna be honest. Is that the one we predicted, or was that Richmond?
We predicted Richmond.
Okay. I think that I could agree with this, that I don't think there's going to be very many. If it would be more surprising to me than if we saw more than 2 Kiras in the top 8. But I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised to see 3 Sabines in the top 8.
Right. Yeah. So in Lyle, Kira barely snuck in at 8th. Okay. And if you even if you look like outside of that, right? Yeah, so even if you look outside of that, not necessarily conversion rates, but it's a matter of like what are like the next 8 spots, or like the top 20, and you really don't see all these extra Kiras that are just like that were almost there but didn't quite make it. So, and just based off of that, I think it's going to be a fair bit of the same. Like, from what I can tell in Lyle, the next highest placed Kira, from what I'm seeing, was 35th.
I still think it's an excellent call, just as a deck in general. But I also agree with you. It's like it getting all the way to the end, you have a lot more factors that are going to be playing against you. Same with Han. It's just like a Han deck can still, like, its game plan can be fumbled by other decks still. They're just they're more fair, like traditionally fair, like play unit swing than but even though Han is still like the best deployability, or not deployability, but the best ability in the game. Sabine is just this. It's just a traditional, like, I'm gonna go face unless you determine you're the control deck, and its game plan is so very straightforward, but also like the really good Sabine players know how to deviate well, and sometimes without that practice into a really good Sabine player, you won't know what they're going to be trying to do as nearly as much. But and it's also just something that can just, it just does its job so well that many people can take it further. But yeah, I mean, I like I said, I think Sabine, you said you think it's either Ray or Han. I could see Ray Datavolt pulling another, sneak attack move in. I think people see it coming now, but also, like, how do you really adjust your plan for the, that the blue green hero decks are just, they're such a nuisance to me, but they're very good at being a nuisance. So they have unit recursion, hand draw, restore. They're okay with falling behind because they're going to just start to, tidal wave over you at some point when they 2-for-1 everything you have, and it's kind of like the traditional, like, group or blue-green villain where they get all the way to Super Laser Blast and then look to Avenger lock you, but it feels like it's worse because your units just died in combat. So
right. Do you want to do an exact breakdown of what we think top 8 will be, since we don't have a next weekend episode? See if we can hold true our prediction like we did for Richmond.
Yeah, I mean, do you have Lyle's pulled up? I guess you have.
Yeah, I do. I have Lyle's pulled up on what their top 8 breakdown was.
Was Richmond after Lyle? I'm getting lost.
No, man. Richmond. Okay. Richmond was the last weekend of April. This Lyle was that first weekend of May.
I'm lost in the sauce. Yeah, what was Lyle's top 8? And I'll kind of see about that. I think there's a few things that have actually changed.
Do you want me to go 1 to 8 or just give you the numbers?
Yeah, just do 1 to 8.
Okay, so we had Sabine that won. Okay. Anakin blue, just regular blue.
30, right?
Yeah. Quinlan. Second Sabine, ECL.
Okay.
specifically. Another Anakin Blue, the Ray Data Vault, and third Sabine ECL. Well, third Sabine, second Sabine ECL, and then the Kira.
Okay. If I had to guess off the top of my head, I don't think very many people are still playing Sabine Data Vault. I know it's still pretty good, but I just have a feeling that the community like looked at it, accepted it, tried it out, and then went back to ECL because it's a comfort pick. I'm gonna probably say 2 at least ECL Sabines. I think we can agree on that one.
My instinct was to also say 3 Sabines, but we can leave it at 2 for now and see. We'll come back.
Okay. Let's see. So 2 Sabine ECLs. I would put that at least 1 Han Green, and then I don't know if a Han Yellow will sneak it through in a meta full of like hero, like all the new Han stuff. I could see a Han 2 actually getting in there.
1, 2, potentially. Okay.
I'd say 1 Han 2, probably Data Vault.
Right.
Han
I think
Green,
we'll have 1 Kira.
Yeah, 1 Kira at least. So you're right there. You're at what, 6, 5 or 6?
6.
If Anakin does make it here, I'm gonna say it's Colossus. I think that we've had a lot of people here play Colossus over 30. I don't really know. I don't think there's a real reason as to one or the other at this point. But I think more, again, it's just more people like have practiced or put in time on one base or the other. Especially,
I think people may also do it because I think Quinlan's not nearly as prevalent.
I'd put Quinlan up there on that list, but Quinlan would definitely be like one of. I don't think it'd be more than one. So.
One of. Okay, so you're saying 2 Sabine, 1 Han Green, Han 1 Green, 1 Han 2 Green, 1 Kira, 1 Anakin, 1 Quinlan for the top 8.
Is that 7 or is that 6? Or 7 or 8?
That should be 8.
Okay.
2 Sabine, Han 1 Green, Han Data Volt. I'm sorry, you said 1 Kira. I typed 2. My bad.
Oh, you're good.
So one more.
Oh man, math probably says another Kira. So
you do want to go Kira?
Yeah, I'll go a second. I'll do a second one. That's a flex spot between another Sabine, but I mean either way, I think we're looking at least almost 6 unique leaders. So
interesting. Okay, yeah, your prediction's a little quite different from where I'm going with it because I think we'll have 1 Kira. I think we'll have 2 Rays.
Oh.
I think we'll have 2 Rays. Yep. I think 2 Rays. If I had to guess, I think you'd probably have it'll either be double Data Vault or you'll have 1 Tarkin Town, 1 Data Vault. Depending on the Tarkin Town pilot.
Okay.
I think we'll have I'm leaning 3 Sabines, but I'm gonna play this out. So I'll just say 2 out of 3 Sabines at the moment. So if I only did 2, I need 3 more spots. I'm kind of leaning towards 2 Han, 1 greens. When I say green, Data Vault or regular. I figured it'd probably be any of those. So that's what, 3, 5, 7. So if I just don't think Anakin's gonna be able to do it. Part of me wants to put Quinlan in, but I'm like, how many decent Quinlan pilots are we gonna get?
I think Anakin Blue, or like Anakin in general, to me is like the same position as the Rey player, like at least the Rey Tarkin Town player. But I could see a Rey Data Vault definitely for sure.
Yeah. So I think I don't think there's another leader that I can really think of that I would put in. So I think my prediction is going to be like 1 Kira, 2 Rays, 3 Sabines, 2 Han, 1 Greens.
Okay. No, I mean either way, It's a good representation, you know. Yeah, it'll be I mean, I'm excited to see like what makes the day one run all the way to the top.
But you're predicting Sabine to win.
Yeah, I think Sabine will take it down. So.
Do I have to pick between Ray and Han Green? I'm gonna just say Ray wins.
Oh,
I'm gonna do it.
Bold move.
I'm gonna do it.
I have a feeling Vader Yellow will get 9th in both of them. So, but maybe it'll top 8. Who knows?
Oh shoot! It deleted on me.
No.
I was writing all this down, and then I 2 Kira. You said 2 Sabine. You said Han 1. Han 1 Green. Yeah, I just wanted to write it down. And then you said a Han 2 like Data Vault.
Yeah.
So that was 6. What am I forgetting? You said an Anakin, right?
Yeah, one Anakin and one Quinlan.
One Anakin. Oh, and you said one Quinlan. Okay.
Yeah.
Quinlan. Sabine wins. And then I said 3 Sabine, 2 Ray, 2 Han 1 Greens, and then 1 Kira.
Either way,
with Ray winning. Okay.
Cool. We'll have it. We'll put a little reminder to check in about 2 weeks from the day of the episode you guys see here. But yeah, I mean, we'll also by that time we are gonna have a lot more cards previewed. I have been getting super excited every day about everything that just keeps getting shown to us. So let's pull this up real quick. We'll just kind of do. I mean, we're not going to go through every individual card as a holistic sense, but you know, we've started to see some themes mixed in with some of these cards. You've got, actually, this was just spoiled today. Mother Talzin. Did you see this one, Steven?
Yeah.
I think she's actually kind of good. A 3/7, as we know, is super well statted, and until we know that Force Throw is banned, this card could stand to actually be like a Quinlan equivalent for villainy. It gives the I mean, 1 damage. 1/1 is just the same as 1 damage, but you know, this with Tarkin Town is probably not the same as obviously Quinlan. But the cards they keep printing for this seem to be what's starting to make maybe the Knight tribal deck be kind of good. We have all of these stat reduction abilities. This on attack plus using the Force on our leader side is really neat. And then we'll jump back to some of the other stuff that got printed for this as well. They have Talzin's Assassin. The when played ability is really good. I mean, that's just a 4/4 for 4, or a 4 for 4. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Effectively, with a -3/-3 is basically, you know, killing at least usually a statistical turn 1 play, which is really nice. This isn't like a super high statted HP unit, but also, you know, it's just got the Force theme with other cards we'll pull up here, and which is right next to it is the old Daka. When you play, or when played, you may defeat a friendly Knight unit not named Old Daka. Then you may play that unit from your discard pile for free. So essentially, this is, you know, you'll on curve Talzin's Assassin into Old Daka. You'll have a 4/4 that maybe killed their turn 1 unit, and then the following turn you'll have it. This is actually a really well statted unit, by the way. This is Poe. With an ability to possibly deal 3 damage to something the same turn, which is really cool.
Or, yeah, to minus it, which, you know, I think in general, having cards that just reduce the stats as opposed to applying damage is typically better, I feel like. Obviously, there are certain scenarios where it's not. If you can't clear something cleanly and then it just disappears and goes away, which is unfortunate. But in general, I think giving the stat reduction is almost going to be better than damage.
Yeah, especially into heavy shield metas, you know, and we're not in one right now, but like this both of these cards, this just makes Lurking TIE Phantom really sad. Karis is also another card that was printed in the top right up here. When defeated, you may use the Force. If you do, give a unit -2/-2. So essentially, this is also something to chain off of how old Daka plays. Just another when defeated.
It's a 2/4.
Yep, it is a fantastic turn one stat play. And then I know we got another one for this theme. It was the Night Sister Warrior. When defeated, draw a card. We're really running this when defeated theme up a little higher, which is really cool. Another thing that might also be like with that theme is Thrawn, just because you're already in blue, or Thrawn from Jump to Lightspeed.
I think it's fun how that synergizes, considering the new Thrawn stuff from Ahsoka, right? Getting all that Night Sisters energy inherently with it.
They planned it so well. I think that was all the Night Sister such, but we'll continue working our way down this list. Go back up.
There was Marin, but...
Oh, there was Marin, you're right. Let's take care of that one real quick, because that's actually a big one. Marin was a 3-cost, 2/5, so this is actually pretty well statted, especially considering how good its on attack is. You may discard a card from your hand. If you do, deal 2 damage to a unit. So, this is part of Poe's on attack right here, but also the part that this is a neutral card is what's actually, to me, making it the most interesting. This inside of, like, let's say, Anakin Blue is very interesting. You had presented an idea of how the Anakin Legendary in this set, to me, could work. I think Marin could give it at least part of the red color. Excuse me. Just to find a way to put, villainy cards in your discard pile inside of a heroic deck is always by pitching. Kylo will love the hell out of this card. It's just a good card.
Right, yeah, it just like I feel like it's one of those cards where it's like it's either going to be really good and played in everything, or it's like not gonna quite hit that break point.
Yeah. And it being a 2/5 gives it good ground. Like it's just well statted as is. And like if you look back to like I think the equivalent that we had of this card for villainy decks for the longest time was Fifth Brother, and that 1 HP off Fifth Brother made such a difference. After set 1, he was just like not really as much of a playable card. And into a meta, if you and I, like I said, we've been talking about it. If Force Throw is not preemptively banned in the way that FFG might have hinted at, then we might be in a problem with this card. Because I think, or a lot of these, truthfully, there's quite a few of them that are presenting some wonderful 4-star targets. Anakin right here is crazy good. Anything that's just a cheap costed unit has the ability to be a very good 4-star target. This Jedi Consular, this Obi-Wan, like if they don't either preemptively jump the gun on it, or it sounds like they're aware, at least.
Yeah.
Let's jump into Kanan, because I know there was quite a bit of Spectre theme that's already been previewed. I think he's actually a pretty good leader. His action, so this is a good ability. Shields are great, but also Luke from set 1 did this very similarly, and his only spark of play was basically during the Jango meta, because he just could prevent pings. Paying for a shield isn't bad ever, but it's a meta specific ability. What's nice about this leader, though, is his 6th deploy, and he's a 3/6, but he can be a 5/8 with either creature or specter. And they've announced and showed us some cards that are very synergistic with this. But the thing that I've been mostly like, and I'm sure many others have, is the Jump to Lightspeed Legendary Ghost paired with Kanan is basically, what does he get? Sentinel then as well. So he's a shielded Sentinel with 5/8.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yep. I mean, the other thing that I really love about this, with this, I mean, the whole card just seems good. But I mean, I think a lot of people are going to love that they can just effectively play a Spectre deck now because there's so much synergy. But I mean, look at the tags on this man: Force, Jedi, Rebel, Spectre. It's like the I want to say trifecta, but there's 4 of them.
It's
so
everything you could ask for. You can Fleet Lieutenant this guy. Like,
yep. You can do Force, you can do Jedi, you can put any, pretty much all of these various lightsabers on him, and he's shielded, so like on 6 you don't have to worry about them ambushing into your leader and killing him immediately. Even if you do like flip him blind, right? So, if you can't make him a 5/8 immediately, you can still flip him and not have to worry about him just immediately dying. And then you can still buff him, and then you could put a Jedi lightsaber on him or a General's blade, and then be able to play more. And then imagine if you played like an Ezra and a Jedi lightsaber on this man. I mean, that's what would that be? 6, 9. That's an 8, 11.
Yeah, he could get out of hand really quickly. Just being a 5/8 with a shield is already like, all right. He is almost like an immediate rival's full target. Like if you don't. So.
But I mean, just the amount of board control that he's going to maintain with his even non-deployed side is crazy. Because I mean, Luke was viable and good, but you could only shield things that you played that turn. Now it's literally just pay 1, give a shield token to a thing once a turn.
We've got a few Spectres announced so far, and honestly, this Ezra, I've probably looked at this card a few times because this is probably one of the coolest looking cards I've seen in the game. I think I can't remember the name of the Space Whales, but this is going to be Purgles, thank you. The hyperspace of this card is going to be incredible, but also it is very good. It's well statted. It's a Force unit. It is a Rebel unit. It's got the same tags you were looking for. This is a Jedi lightsaber target, like you just said with Kanan, and it has an on attack that will show off some of the creatures that they've previewed with this set. That this might actually be hyper playable in. The Spectre part is also great. Like, let's say you have a Kanan on the board already, and this Ezra is free to swing. You're making that Kanan effectively after that what would it be, a 6/9? So if you could put this experience token on that, which is crazy because it doesn't have a cap, but this card is very good.
Yep. Remember in set 1 when people played Ezra and you're like, Ezra dies first.
Yeah.
I feel like it's going to carry over to this new Ezra on top of that.
This one doesn't have open fire to help us.
Nope. No, it does not.
Spectre wise, I don't think we had anything else announced, but there's been quite a few creatures, which has been really cool. We'll jump down to the important ones, but we have the Porg and the Curious Flock. Actually, and then we'll jump back up to Doom, the card that I was really excited for. But this is, I actually really like Curious Flock. This is kind of like the inverse of, the Legion, the 97th Legion that came out in set 1, where it was like it matched your resource count. This is, this can, at any point, you can play an XX creature, which is just really neat. It's something we haven't seen yet into the game, at least in very much capacity. But also, the 0 cost Porg is a very good card. This is going to be something that, as the game continues to grow, 0 cost units could be like something that, I don't know how to say this, but their utility is much wider than we realize, because like this is now there are 2 of them target. Whatever creatures that they print in the future, you could effectively play a 5 cost unit on turn 1. If if your hand was absolutely cracked, it is possible.
All right, let's see what are the yellow creatures that I can do Han with.
It's yeah, I know, right? Um, I think those two, but also let's grab Doom because I actually think double blue might be one of the things to immediately consider for Kanan. Uh, Doom's ability here is just each other friendly non-vehicle unit. If you can go wide with a board that everything starts to just accumulate tokens, and this thing's not easy to kill on the 4 resource turn with 7 HP. That's crazy. And even if it starts to get the value of if this can live for 2 turns, that's usually effective like your average 3 experience, depending on the size of your board.
Yeah. I mean, imagine just beginning to play Ezra turn 2, this on turn 3, and then like, you know, you attack with Ezra that turn, it's then a 3/8, and then at the start of the turn your Ezra's a 4/6, like
yeah. Well, then you
it's
also
crazy.
look into these right here with it, and it's like you can pay 1 to keep this dude in play for longer and heal 6 from him. Or you can play a force unit from your hand and give it a shield token to it. I think Soresu Stance will be an incredible card if this card pool, like the amount of force units we're getting are going to basically flood into every style of deck because we're getting some of the most efficient cards that I've seen printed yet.
Yeah.
I mean, just look at this Jedi Guardian. I think you and I talked about this. It's a 4/8 for 5, and if he's defending, he's a 6/8, which is crazy. Like, this is just a well-statted 5-drop in the first place. This thing is,
and there's no great effective removal tool for it, right? You can't take it down and right away. You can't fell it right away, so you just kind of have to let it sit or attack into it first, right? So
whatever,
it's just annoying.
And this is a common, and whatever modifier you put on this thing between grit, shield, you know, however you want to make it a bigger problem for your opponent. This is probably one of the best blank templates we've seen, and it's
Jedi Garden plus constructed lightsaber, baby.
Yeah. Well, let's jump down to that one. I know we're not going concisely by color or anything here, but I think there's some themes that are already being presented. One of the things I hinted at for the beginning of the set, I'll pull this one up because I actually really like this card. Lightsabers and more lightsabers. And so far we've had quite a few previewed. This card is probably, I mean, let's see, you pay 3 for Jedi Lightsaber, and that's effectively a 3/3 bonus, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're getting a 2/3 bonus out of this. While I'm going to agree that Restore 2 probably isn't as good as how the Jedi Lightsaber functions, the utility of a card that could go between both decks is really cool.
Yep.
I think the Raid 2 on the villainy side is the worst of all of it, but the Sentinel is probably very, very unique. I don't know. These are the things I love to see. I love like Voltron style decks. I love things that make things get really big. And this is just one of those cards that could kind of push certain styles of play more so than what we've seen in the past. And I hope we continue to see more lightsabers out of this set.
Agreed. I'll be most interested what happens with some of this stuff when set 1 rotates and upgrade hate is less of a potential concern.
I agree. It'll make the disabling Fang Fighter, confiscate. I'm sure things will get reprinted, or there will be ways to deal with it in the future.
Yeah.
But
Waylay.
Waylay. There's going to be a lot that's going to go out, and unless they start filling this set, if this set doesn't get very many reprints, kind of like they did through 1 through 3, then we might be seeing like an actually much largerly different card pool, which would be kind of nice.
I mean, I think it's unlikely that we'll get a significant amount of reprints. I think set 7, when we get it, I think we'll probably get at least like 10% of those cards will be reprints.
That's fair. And that's okay with me, just because like there's some things in card games that just have to be like a generic utility.
Yeah.
You can't always have a completely different card pool, and maybe someone argue that you should. I don't think that every limitation in the game is health, or not limitation, but like every part of a game has to be put in check somehow. So
Right. You still need good cards that'll handle a mechanic like confiscate, for example. You have to have some generic way to just get rid of an upgrade. Does that mean confiscate stays? I mean, sure, we have system shock still, right? But
mhm.
maybe they think that's sufficient enough, or maybe they're like, you know what, we're actually going to play into system shock a little bit more, but make it generic and be like, you know what, we're going to actually make it cost 2, and and then maybe do something else,
Yeah,
right?
the concept
Maybe you'll heal 1,
and
remove an upgrade and heal 1.
the concept might change, which is nice and fine with me. But there will always be some version of a confiscate in the format. Would be kind of nice too. So
Right.
like, let's move on to this Obi-Wan Kenobi, which I'm gonna be honest with you, this is probably one of the most disappointing things I've seen so far. Um, I mean, this is my favorite like style for Obi-Wan. Like his outfit in this era is really cool to me, but this card just is not it. Um, you might like it because it plays similar to how Rey plays, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
He
the
could be
nice
a
thing.
5 cost 4/7, but that's after he attacks. So
Right. Or wait, what?
like on
It's
attack
another.
to another. Oh, he can't even buff. If he could buff himself, then maybe we're talking. But that's even worse. Never mind.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, I personally, I think this might be a little bit more interesting for Twin Suns. Um, but I mean, we'll have to see. I find it very unlikely that it'll be utilized at least before rotation. Um, because why not just play the Ray or whatever. The only reason that I can think of, if you run this, is he's an early deploy, and since he's green, you're probably playing a mid-range tempo deck, right? And so just imagine if I'm trying to think, maybe you play green blue, right? And
Yeah.
maybe you do just go like, turn 1 force unit, turn 2 force unit, and you keep getting use the force. And well, if you're playing a single unit every turn, and you're making your turn 2, like say you play the 3/5 Ezra. Oh, it's a 4/6. Okay. Following turn you play regular Kanan and it's a 5/5/6. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I can definitely see that being very tough to deal with, because you're not having to do you don't have to pay anything for it, right? It
Yeah.
all you have to worry about is managing the force token, which, is it going to be more difficult to actually utilize than we may think? Who knows? But I think that's the only scenario of if that style of deck works is if you can just play unit, and then just buff it every turn.
And it's an established play style, like adding experience tokens.
Mm-hmm.
He just is going to need some kind of benefit from the card pool. I think there's something that's gonna have to come out to make him like want to feel like if I had to choose right now, I'd play standard or the Obi-Wan that's already out over. I'd pick like this one. But yeah, as time goes on, maybe things will come out for him. Maybe he'll be a better duelist than I'm just like aware of. Still being a 5 cost 3/6 is actually still really nice. I'm
Yeah.
glad he's not a 3/7, just because I feel like he'd be that break point of 6 to 7 HP is still just kind of a yeah. He might create too much pressure with how many tokens he could get out, but also who knows,
Yeah. I'm also wondering with him is, because it is just free, it's effectively a free upgrade. If maybe a deck that incorporates any of these like units that say while this unit is upgraded, see if I don't know, maybe he has some options with that.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot to it. just to go along with it, because it's one of the cards that was previewed earlier on this set, we have the Obi-Wan Kenobi Protective Padawan. This is also another very well statted 3-drop. His ability is also very good. He's a Sentinel on the turn you play him because it includes himself. But yeah, whenever you play a Force unit, he immediately gains Sentinel. We've seen the flip of the switch Sentinel units in the past with oh my gosh, what's his name from set 1? He's the fork. He's from Star Wars Rogue One. You remember
it's Sentinel,
Yeah,
like when played?
If you have initiative.
Or initiative? Oh, Base Malbus.
Yeah, thank you.
The one with grit, yeah.
He was one of those like on and off Sentinels. There's been a few of them that kind of work in these card pools, but I think it's going to be a good card no matter what. Yeah.
Yeah, Magna Guard works similarly.
We've got Darth Maul. He's one of our starters. Action: use the Force, deal 1 damage to a unit and 1 damage to a different unit. So cool. It's a good ability. 2 damage, 1 damage to 2 things. But the problem here is this is an ability that can't be played if your opponent. I mean, you can still use it and you can power up your own grit, but you have to hit available targets. So a 5/6 on 6 is kind of not my favorite. And then we have the on attack, deal 1 damage to a unit and 1 damage to a different unit. So if you really want to be cheeky about this, on his deploy turn, he could technically deal 2 damage to 2 units at the cost of your Force token and a 1 swing. Yeah. So,
not in. Oh, you're saying he could do 4 damage in total on his flip turn and.
Yeah, mostly, but like if you concentrate fire to 2/2. But
yeah.
What is really nice about this card, because I actually don't think this is a very good leader in my opinion, is the lightsaber they printed for him for this set. Let's pull this bad boy up. There he is. Attached to a friendly non-vehicle unit when played. If attached unit is Darth Maul, you may attack with him. For this attack, he gains Overwhelm and can't attack bases. So basically, you could ping 1 unit twice, bring its HP down enough that you have a 5/6 plus 4, so you have a 9 cost, and you're probably hitting for an Overwhelm of probably an average of 5 damage. What'd you say about right?
Well, I mean, if you put the lightsaber, he'd be a 9/8, so I'd say likely you're probably hitting for at least 6.
Okay, which in this 20% of someone's base. Pretty crazy, especially because like this gives the shoot first basically style, or not shoot first, but like it's a 1 action, deal 5 damage to base.
Yeah, it's an action cheater,
which I really like. I think that like some of the Voltron style stuff gets, and their limiting effect of making sure that he can't swing on a base with this thing is really smart.
Yeah.
Along with that, we'll jump into. Probably one of my least favorite things about Star Wars is the Inquisitors, but Third Sister, her ability is actually pretty good in my opinion. Play a unit from your hand, it gains hidden for this phase, which it's going to incentivize your opponent to go to face, but it's also going to make it so that you can deploy things safely. I don't think we have very many things that are going to benefit from hidden immediately. But we also have a long way to go to see how the spoiler season is going to check out.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's tough to say. I mean, just certain cards that you can play that you need to get an on attack trigger off in order for it to be worth its slot, and this I think guarantees it, right? Or it shouldn't guarantee it. It effectively guarantees it because they can't attack into it. They can still take down or do whatever effect wise with it, but
not being able to be attacked is very good, especially because like when this leader deploys, obviously she's a 5/4 ready out the gate, and 5/4 on 5, it's actually not bad at all, and the ability to give another thing an on attack or give hidden is great. But again, she might just be like a racing leader. I
She's definitely an aggro leader for sure. But I don't know. I feel like five. It's like IG, right? I mean, she's not actually pushing
true.
any real effective damage off. IG's a 5/4, and he's practically unplayable. So I think 5/4 for 5 is just
It's not
not there.
enough, especially
No.
like all these units we've talked about previously. It's like, this Ezra almost just one shots their leader, you know, and there's a lot more of these. This Jedi Guardian just one shots your leader. Um,
Yeah.
but I mean, I hope they print more
Open
for.
fire, killing your leader is just
Yeah, yeah, it's
rough.
always the same problem that Kylo's had for ever. But they do have the scythe here. Again, adds to your specific Inquisitor theme. I would be impressed if the card pool gets wide enough to actually make like an Inquisitor deck. Because right now you've got fifth brother, third sister as the leader, and seventh sister. But I don't know. Maybe, and I guess you've also got Grand Inquisitor leader. But I don't know, man. A
Yeah.
4 cost 3/5 in space isn't bad at all. The on attack is just gonna be hard to use.
Agreed.
Um, let's see. That's third sister. We got Qui-Gon Jinn, the other starter set leader. Man, oh man, does this thing open a box of possible issues? But action: use the Force. You'll lose your Force token. Return a friendly non-leader unit to its owner's hand. Play a non-villainy unit that costs less than the return unit from your hand. So, and a good example is I'm going to play my 5-drop. I'm going to use Qui-Gon Jinn's action, return it back to my hand, and I can play a 4-drop or lower for free. There's some really cool tricks with this. People have already started digging into like what's my capability to do, like, to ramp super large units very quickly, and
Mm-hmm.
they can do that. Your ability to regain your force though after that is probably where the hard part's going to be, to like continuously do this. But
Mm-hmm.
this ability is like so unique to the game now, which is really nice. I think Qui-Gon Jinn's also a really cool character to put this on. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't even know where to begin with like how wide the utility of this ability will be. But
Yeah, it's crazy utility. It's definitely one of those where it's going to be very tough to deal with your opponent's units. Uh, if you don't have single action ways to deal with them, right? Because they can just
yeah,
bounce and replace them with a new one. The other thing too is like I feel like you can play it if you can either play it to put a lot of pressure in the early game, but at the same time, I feel like, well, if you're playing this in a slower deck, imagine just being able to bounce your really good cards and just play them again, right? It's
yeah,
like, if you just played this as yellow blue or whatever, and you're like, well, you have, I know there's the new Qui-Gon unit that's good, but it's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna bounce my Luke. I'm gonna just bounce my Luke, and oh yeah, I'll just play an Obi-Wan, for free, and now I can play Luke for free, or
yeah.
not Luke, but yeah, I can just replay Luke. It's just different stuff like that, and then you still have the the Anakin, the new Anakin unit on top of that, right? So,
Yeah.
um, it's just any of these when played that you're utilizing, you just are gonna get a lot of advantage if you can keep running the when played. I mean, take Ahsoka as an example, right? I
Mhm.
mean, just being able to constantly bounce your stuff. Awesome. Yeah, that sounds really fun. So,
You know what's even spookier that I just thought about? You
hmm.
could if you're running, Qui-Gon Blue, is you could like take something off the board one turn and then bounce into a regional governor right after.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. You can reuse your regional governors if you did that. So I think there's a lot of fun stuff with this.
Yeah.
Just depends how it plays out.
I think
I think,
he's a well statted leader. We know six cost 4/7s are they're probably on the slower side of things, unfortunately, with all like compared to the where we are at with the normal meta right now. But also, like, if the ability's good enough to make up for it, then this is a good stat line, which I think it might be.
Oh, I think it's a very good stat line. I mean, it's on par, in my opinion, with every other 6-drop leader. You know, it's exactly the same as Anakin before he gets his buffs. I'm trying to think what other, it's better than Han stat wise. What other 6-drop leaders are there?
This is Boba Fett Damio. This is, we just know 4-7 is a good place to be.
Yep.
Another thing, I mean, the way I was approaching, like, looking at this card was like, I want ambush units. I want to go Syndicate Lackey into Hidden Sharpshooter and just clear their ground units as fast as possible, or maybe Blue Leader into, Hidden Sharpshooter. Like, maybe I'll play things that might die, but also at the same time, if they don't die, I get to just trade, and you're gonna have to figure out how to deal with them. Let's jump to his legendary, because I think that card is incredible. Here it is. Don't look at the art too much because his arm is kind of weird, but a 7-cost 7/5 in Hero Cunning, and it is an ambush. When defeated, you may choose a non-leader ground unit. Its owner puts it on the top or bottom of their deck. All right, so this card I think is very good, and you know what? If I'm wrong, that's okay. As we just said, a leader being statted at 4/7 is kind of the status quo. This can kill a leader with ambush and survive. It will trade positively into most 6-drop leaders, which is awesome to hear. And its when defeated is also incredible. You may choose a non-leader ground unit. Its owner puts it on the top or bottom of their deck. If you can catch your opponent in a time when they've already played resources for the turn, this may make them just immediately claim. Because if you have to put their big thing, let's say they're Luke, onto the top of their deck, you know what? It's not on the board, which means you just have that much more ability to pressure them. It might be coming next turn, but if you have another Qui-Gon, then you just get to run this Luke back and forth. So, and it'll immediately refresh the Forces with you token.
Yep, and if it lives, you can bounce it with your Qui-Gon leader.
Yeah. This would be something that, like, I would just try and figure out, like, is this going to be an optimal card? Because I know, like, right now we run a lot of Han, and the special, or not Han, but like Han unit. And Han's unit's only weakness is that it doesn't hit for 7. So, and Quinlan, I know, is usually the answer to that problem. But I think if I'm the Quinlan player, or if I'm someone looking to play yellow Cunning or yellow Hero, like this with Boba Fett Damio, I would definitely be throwing this probably in at least a minimum of probably 2.
Yeah, and if they actually have a threat, with 5 attack that you can ambush, it's a 2-for-1, right? So it can, good old, it's one of those situations of, if you put somebody in check and they're like, okay, can you deal with 2 units that both kill you? And you're like, yeah, I have Qui-Gon, and you're like, oh,
yeah. And then let's jump into the last leader for this set, because this is probably one of the coolest things that I think they've done so far in the game, period, is they have brought Darth Revan in. Steven, I know this is one of your favorite things you were excited about. Do you want to do this one?
Yeah. So, I mean, I love Darth Revan. I think we've touched on it in earlier video, but I've I played Knights of the Old Republic. I've played Star Wars: The Old Republic. I've read the or not Darth Revan, the Revan novel. So, like, I've got a ton of knowledge on Revan here. It's super nice that they're incorporating some of the most popular Legends material. I guess I shouldn't say Legends, because, well, no, I guess Revan is still technically Legends, I believe. I don't think Revan we've confirmed him. But
this one is that one is out of my, because I could be right and I could be wrong, and I could feel like even if we found out the right answer, I'd still feel like I'm right or wrong.
Right. But I mean, you're bringing arguably
One of the
one of the
yeah.
you're bringing in the most popular character in Star Wars that's not in a film.
Yeah, this would be the next follow up to this would be like bringing Starkiller in, and then after that, Cal Kestis is canon technically, but it's those three,
Right.
man.
But like, I mean, if you just list off some of these characters, like you have Revan, you've got Mara Jade, you've got Starkiller, right? Like these are like some of the old school, and when I say old school, like 2000s era of 90s to 2000 era characters that everyone just thinks are the coolest, right? They're some people are like, you know what, Revan is my all-time favorite Star Wars character, right? Some people are like, oh, so much better than Luke, or so much better than Anakin. Not saying I
Yeah,
necessarily agree with that, but that's what they really love, and it's just nice that they're able to pick into some of this lore that people are just really excited for. It just really opens up a lot of options, and I
and
think it just makes the game more desirable for some people.
yeah, I mean it's what's special about these cards is also is like there's a few things in all honesty. The gold trim border down here on the bottom of the card on both sides is just referencing that this is a Legends material, you know, style card. So even if it's not canon, at least they're referencing like where it came from at one point. The other really unique thing about it in the game itself is that this is a mono villain leader, which is really interesting because it might mean a few things to release with the set that we might see like a mono, hero Revan. Um, but until they, announce that, then I don't know. But I like his ability a lot. Even if he had a color, I would consider trying this out just because, like, like what we talked about with Obi-Wan earlier. When a friendly unit attacks and defeats a unit, you may exhaust this leader. If you do, give an experience token to that friendly unit. Any reactive style ability in this game has already shown to be usually one of the better ones that we could hope for. I mean, you go back to Boba, you go back to Boba from Jump to Lightspeed. Like everything that activates within one action is just usually that's just usually a step above.
Mm-hmm.
But this unit, he's a five drop 3/6, so he's pretty well statted. Uh, when a friendly unit attacks and defeats a unit, you may give an experience token to that friendly unit. So you won't be able to stack his ability twice in one turn on one target, which is probably for the better. But
You know what? Sorry, I'll let you finish it all.
oh no, go ahead, go ahead.
So the way that this is worded, I don't know if you can get away with this, but say you have, like, I know aspect wise it doesn't really or doesn't really count, but what happens if, say, you, like, have a Sabine unit, the 2/3 that pings, and you attack into a unit and you use the ping? Technically it attacked and defeated a unit. Like, does it mean that it has to attack a unit and defeat it? Because the wording is a little ambiguous, right?
You're
Because
basically
it says attacks and defeats a unit, not attacks and defeats that unit.
when a friendly unit attacks and defeats a unit. So like Sabine swings at this, the on attack would trigger, and it would be defeated. So
Hmm.
I'm assuming that if you're asking like would Sabine get that experience, I think so.
Yeah, so it's like imagine if you're. I'm trying to think of
It does.
cards where it applies, but it's like if you have an on attack that deals, like, a damage to, say, every ground unit, right? And it kills one, even if you hit base, like, as
Yeah.
far as I can tell, it would still apply.
Yeah. So,
So
like if you had a
that's fun.
fallen lightsaber on something and it swung and hit their base, but it also killed something because of the fallen lightsaber trigger. The fallen lightsaber trigger would give you
Does the
the
unit gain the on attack with fallen lightsaber? Because technically, if Fallen Lightsaber doesn't grant that ability, then the Fallen Lightsaber defeated, not the unit.
Oh man, I'll have to look into the weeds on that one, because actually that would be, because I know one of our locals was already looking at Darth Revan Red being like his.
Oh no, Fallen Lightsaber says it gains,
Oh, cool.
so that would work.
That's a little hard math to set up, but also at the same time, it's worth it to.
Right, but it's just nice to know that there are mechanisms where you don't have to just run your unit into other units to get an experience, right?
Yeah.
And have to live. So
I do think his ability is very good, and if he had an aspect, I think he'd be even higher up on the competitive chart. But until we see what they're willing to print in this set, then it won't. We just won't know. So.
Mm-hmm. If you had to assign an aspect to him, what aspect do you think you'd assign?
Oh, right now, me, definitely Lake Country. No,
right. No. I mean, like, imagine if they like not with your base. I mean, if you gave him an aspect.
Oh man. Right now, the aggression player in me wants to say aggression, but I actually think the. Oh no, it might just be aggression. I don't know enough about the character to say cunning. So I'd probably
I think it'd be aggression too. The only one that I would consider, the only other alternative that I would consider is command.
Really?
The only reason being that is because he was literally like, he literally led the Sith Empire, right? Oh. So that's why I was like, I considered command, but I think you'd probably just have to go with aggression.
Shadowed Undercity. When a friendly these are Coruscant. That's cool. They're both there. I hadn't actually checked out what the location on the basis was. There's a lot more cards that we can kind of get through here, but Darth Sidious is really cool. He was spoiled very early on. Drain Essences, I also think, is a very good card. Doom, if not, I don't even remember if I mentioned it already.
Yeah, we did.
Plo Koon, you've been kind of excited about Watto, just because your Bray Tarkentown deck, you can put an experience on this man, and he can also just give you an experience or draw a card. Anakin Skywalker, I think, like I said, we had talked about a little bit of like, what can this actually be played with? And your first suggestion was Han Solo set 1, because you can destroy a villainy card from your discard pile.
From your resources, yeah, because you can use Han effect, resource a villainy card, and then destroy it. So yeah, it's definitely interesting. I'd love to try and think of a way to do it where you can run U-Wing, so that way your villainy cards are still potentially playable.
Yeah.
But but again, if you're only getting to play those cards off of U-Wing, well, you already have passed your curve on this Anakin, right?
Yeah. I hope that, obviously the first thing that I think came to my mind was Chancellor Palpatine from set 3. That's where, like, it's Anakin Skywalker and Palpatine. It really only makes sense. But also, like, this card has to exist past that when that leader rotates. And I hope that there's support for it, because this game is really, like, the out of aspect ability is really cool, but it does not see the light of day very often. But I hope it does, just so that this really cool looking card can be played more.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. We have Captain Enoch, which was actually really neat. I think this card could actually see a little bit of play. I like the Trooper theme. It hasn't actually seen any real play out there, but between that and the Legionnaire, those are actually really well statted cards for, or could be really well statted cards for a new theme. You have your creature support. We have, wow. I mean, this is just a ramp for Jedi Green. Sifo Dyas. Now, I didn't read this card. That is a big wall of text, but I think this was clone. Yeah, it was clone unit support. You can run this with Nala Se. Shout out to our Nala Se fans. While or controls a force unit, this unit gains ambush. A 5/5 with ambush is pretty good. HK-47, a huge. Actually, this is another awesome thing with this theme currently is that we've gotten some incredibly good 2/4 drops in this set already so far. I think this thing can just deal a ton of damage if it's allowed to exist for way too long. And just again, it's a static ability. You know, you have to be prepared to deal with this thing as fast as possible. We've got Savage. I don't know how I feel about this card. Unfortunately, they just kind of keep printing him in a bad light. But this is a card that could be ECL'd, and it has Overwhelm. That's pretty neat, I guess. Deathfield, we have a Revan support card. Deal 2 damage to each non-vehicle enemy unit. If you control a force unit, draw a card. That's very good. It's a light bombing run. Thank God it's non-vehicles. Thank all the Tarkin, or not all Tarkin, all the Vader players out there are happy about that. This is more creature support for, I'm assuming just for Ezra. Jedi Knight. I actually think this card's really good too, Steven. If you have the initiative, deal 2 damage to an enemy ground unit.
Yeah.
Because I think Quinlan will find a way to use this pretty well. Ataru Onslaught. Ready a force unit with 4 or less power. That's, you know, like we said, our leaders, there's a lot of them that are just statted out at 4. So this could reset quite a few of them. Tukata. I don't remember what this is from, but a 4/2 hidden is pretty cool. For some reason, man, this card to me is just like there's an ooga booga feeling I'm gonna get from this. But as I have foreseen, a 1 yellow or cunning villainy rare. Look at the top card of your deck. You may use the force. If you do, play that card. It costs 4 less. What could really go wrong with this card? You know?
Well, that's just it. I was thinking here too, because I'm like, you know, as we mentioned with Han Blue, I'm thinking to myself like, what are some ways I can get villainy cards that I can still play in my discard? And I'm like, you know, if I played Han, I could play this turn 1, and I'm still effectively playing a card for 1 less. And it's in my discard for Anakin.
Yeah. You could also, with this Qui-Gon Jinn, or the Qui-Gon Jinn unit, maybe I have to look back at it. I was right there next to it. You may choose a non-leader ground unit. Its owner puts on the top and bottom of their deck. We could just pre-stack our own deck with Qui-Gon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Liberated by Darkness, a cunning villainy 5-cost rare. Use the force. If you do, take control of a non-leader unit at the start of the Rieger phase. Its owner takes control of it. So this is a change of heart, almost specifically just for villainy. I feel like this is a draft more or less card, but also could probably see some play in slower metas.
I'm pretty sure that's Bastila on the art too, so I think we'll probably get some like a Darth, or not a Darth, but a fallen Bastila or something.
Okay. We've got our 1/1/1 Anakin Skywalker Hidden Shielded. This will be your Force Throw enabler if the card makes it to set 5 release. A 5 or 4 cost 5/4 Sentinel. If it has, you know, if you have the Force. Qui-Gon's Aether Sprite. On attack, the next time you use a when played ability this phase, you may play that ability again. So this is a trigger card to use with Qui-Gon Leader. This will help chain things, and I'm afraid of this also causing problems. But you know what? I'm here for seeing people break things. The Stinger Mantis. When played, you may deal 2 damage to an exhausted unit. I mean, that fits into Yellow's theme. I don't see anything particularly incredible about this card. Mind Trick.
Uh, it's a
What?
4/6 for 5. I think the stat line's fine. It's also a transport, which you always have to consider.
That's fair. Exhaust any number of units with a combined power of 4 or less. If you control a force unit, those units lose all abilities. You can't gain abilities for this phase. I hope that, like, I mean, I guess it's mostly a Jedi trick, so I don't know though. I don't know about this card. Exhausting things and taking away their abilities in the same phase is kind of
Yeah. What I
it's
what I
hard to capitalize on
wonder
this.
uh what I wonder is if you're playing against like control and they play a super laser tech, maybe you play this and then they can't ramp.
Yeah, it gives hero a way to nullify abilities, which is kind of cool too. Previously,
Yeah.
it was only Force Lightning, which if you didn't think about it already, might be a very good card going into this next set.
Yeah.
So, uh, Forge Starfighter. This is one for the home team of the Vader player. Hidden in raid 1 for a 1-drop to me is actually really nice. This unit can't just die the turn it's played, which is sometimes Vader's biggest weakness.
Mhm.
Um, Darth Tyrannus. This was a card that was, I think this was the very first spoiled card in the Gen Con event or the convention promo. But a shielded ambush unit, if you have the Force, is really good at that stat. There's nothing really else to say about it. The Scimitar, Darth Maul's vehicle. While this unit is damaged, it gets +3/+0, which synergizes really well with Darth Maul's ability because you can deal 1 damage to your own Scimitar and hit things for 6. Then we got Darth Malik, another legendary, a mono villainy legendary. Oh, clicked that. Let's see. A 4/7, we've talked about it. That is an on ahead of curve unit with overwhelm, and if you control a Sith leader unit, you may ready this unit. This thing is crazy.
Yeah,
I
just really synergy with Revan there, flip on 5. Um I'm trying to think if there's any other Sith leaders that deploy on 5 at the moment.
Not on 5. Well, I guess with this set we will get it might actually be better with Third Sister than it is with Revan, but between the two of them it will have a place between them.
Well, Third Sister's not a Sith.
Oh, it isn't. Never mind. Um yeah, I'd have to go back and look. That's a good question.
Yeah, so
He is a legendary though, and I'm excited to see how this looks. Darth Revan's lightsabers. If attached unit is a Sith, it gains grit. A 2/2, or a 2/2 is kind of understated for upgrades, but considering it's in villainy, not a specific aspect, it has to be probably.
yeah.
And then Refugee of the Path. Do you know what the Path is in Star Wars? I just learned this the other
Yeah.
day.
Yep. It's the path that was introduced from the Obi-Wan series. It's like kind of their it was primarily to get force sensitives and hide them from the Empire, particularly children.
See, I was watching the new Tales of the Underworld, and they talked about it in that. And I just remembered, I was like, oh, that's actually really cool that it came out with the timing of, Andor and all of this.
Yep.
But we have another Grogu, a 1/6/3 cost, so kind of like Watto earlier, is hidden. Action heal up to 2 damage from a unit. If you do, deal that much damage to a unit. So this is a really unique card. A lot of things, at least played turn 1 currently, are meant to like knock each other out. So I don't see this ability being like super useful at the beginning. But you know what? Anything that helps math is something that like needs to be explored. Luke was something that was previewed recently. When you play another unique unit, you may use the Force and give him a shield and experience token. So a 3/5 for 4 is a little understated, but a 4/6 with a shield for 4 is not.
Yeah,
It just can't be played on curb very well, unfortunately.
right. I'd be curious if maybe it has play it with like Han 2.
Yeah.
See if that works.
Yeah, that would make sense. And then play
Because
you need like a Greedo or a lower Anakin or something after to follow it up.
yeah, you could do like Luke on 4, use Han effect to play like an R2 maybe.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've been talking about it, but just the I don't know, maybe 60 cards they've shown, 50 cards so far. I don't know. I'm getting so excited for this set. It's gonna
Yeah.
be, I hope it breaks the meta open, but even if it doesn't, the flavor that it's gonna add to everyone's like Star Wars theme and decks and all these super cool leaders and interactions, I'm just excited for. And then about 2 weeks from now, we'll do another recap of everything that's going to come out, and I'm sure it's going to be like another 30 something cards.
Probably, yeah. Because we usually get like what, about 3 a day? Probably 2, 3 a day.
Yeah, that's what they've been averaging or so. And then I mean that's basically it for the rest of. We've already gone through everything.
We've gone through everything, yeah.
But we had I just wanted to show this off a little bit because I had been working on it on the side. Our buddy Derek Schwartz over at the Central Spacers showed off his cool new custom Central Spacer sleeves at the KCPQ with some of those guys. So I whiffed up this little guy and ordered a set, and I'm just excited to see what they look like in person. But we were just kind of mulling through ideas and wanted to see how this theme felt, and then hopefully eventually if the quality is where we want it and what we make, then maybe we can run this and make some for the Neo Maha Alliance guys. But yeah, I think I've talked quite a bit. I think we've covered just about everything. Did you have anything else on this list of cards we've seen so far?
No, I think we've covered everything that I was tracking.
Okay. Well, we ended this one at like an hour and 45, but thank you all for, as always, watching, checking out the content. Like I said, we will not be here next week, but root for everybody that's going out. Let us know in the comments if you have already figured out what you're planning on playing, or what you think might take down the whole event. And until then, we will see you all around. Bye.
Yeah.